It was one of those rare moments when the world just paused. No speeches. No grand announcements. Just the quiet hum of two blacked-out cars slipping through the gates of Clarence House. First came King Charles. Then, moments later, Prince Harry. That was it. That was the scene. But don't be fooled, this wasn't a casual tea between father and son. This was their first meeting in over 18 months. And you could almost feel the weight of history pressing down on every second. The last time they'd looked each other in the eye was back in February 2024, just after Charles's cancer diagnosis. Since then, nothing. No family gatherings, no holiday reunions, only silence, distance, and a storm of rumors filling the void. And then, out of nowhere, Harry landed in London. Officially, it was for the Well Child Awards and a few charity events. But the whispers started immediately. Would he see his father? Would Charles even open the door? And if he did, what on earth would it mean? The answer came quickly. At 5:20 p.m., cameras caught Harry's car pulling into Clarence House. At first, the footage was barely noticed. But once it hit the internet, it was everywhere. Suddenly, everyone was asking the same question. Is this the beginning of a royal reconciliation? To understand just how loaded that question is, you have to rewind. Back to 2020, when Harry and Meghan walked away from royal duties and the fallout never seemed to stop. The Oprah interview. The Spotify deal. The Netflix docuseries. Spare. Each move, each headline, pushing Harry further from the family he left behind. And layered over it all, allegations, accusations, and a silence that grew louder with every passing year. Public statements, endless headlines, constant friction. At some point, it stopped being a cold shoulder. It became a war. And that's why the fact that King Charles made time for Harry, even while undergoing cancer treatment, matters. It wasn't routine. It wasn't a polite gesture. It was deliberate. But let's not turn it into a fairy tale. Reports say the meeting lasted no more than 30 minutes. That's not a heart-to-heart. That's a trial run, a temperature check, maybe even a last olive branch. And what makes it even more telling is who wasn't there. Prince William. The one person everyone assumed would want a seat at this table, stayed away. No appearance. No public support. Just silence. And sometimes, silence says more than words ever could. Because this family, it isn't just tied by blood. It's built on image, control, and centuries of protocol. Harry shattered that foundation, and he did it under the glare of the world's spotlight. So even if Charles feels the pull of reconciliation, William may see it as something else entirely. If there were an heir to the throne handbook, it probably wouldn't suggest reaching out to the monarchy's biggest PR headache. And yet, here we are. Two cars slipping through palace gates. Cameras catching every glance, every tilt of the head, as if history itself was written in body language. Did Charles lean in? Did Harry flinch? Every frame became a headline. Because this wasn't just a family catching up. It was history, trying to rewrite itself one awkward conversation at a time. No official statements. No smiling portraits. Just 30 minutes behind closed doors, 30 minutes that could either spark healing or seal the rift forever. Whatever it wasn't casual. It was calculated. And it could reshape the monarchy in ways few expected. Charles wasn't just a king in that room. He was a father, pulled between heartbreak, legacy, and mortality. Cancer has a way of softening some people, hardening others. In Charles's case, it seems to have done both. Those close to him say he feels the weight of time pressing in, not just on his reign, but on his family. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he opened the door at all. Because when life reminds you of its fragility, even the heaviest grudges can start to feel unbearably small. But make no mistake, this wasn't a tearful reunion in some quiet hallway. This was something else entirely. Scheduled. Structured. Short. Every detail felt intentional. No leaked agendas, no cozy joint statements, no whispers to tabloids about hugs or forgiveness. Just two men, face to face, behind closed doors, staring across a canyon carved by years of silence, hurt, and headlines. If Harry came searching for warmth, It probably wasn't waiting for him. He didn't walk into Clarence House as the cherished son of a king, but as a figure who still sparks waves of controversy with every step. Charles may have granted him a meeting, but it wasn't a wide-open invitation to relive the past or rewrite the rules. This was a clock-ticked sit-down, half-finished sentences, heavy pauses, and tension that lingered in the air. And this time, Harry's return to the UK felt different. No Meghan. No entourage. No big public statements. Just him, flying solo, keeping his head down, slipping in under the radar. For someone who once declared he had to escape the toxicity of royal life, walking back into that world must have felt like stepping straight into a lion's den. But he did it. And the very act of showing up made people take notice. What's impossible to ignore is that William was just miles away. And yet, the brothers didn't meet. They haven't spoken in months, and insiders say the rift between them is deeper than ever. If Charles thought he could play peacemaker, he's facing a challenge that even a king might not be able to manage. William, according to those close to him, has had enough of the interviews, the memoir, the bombshells. Forgiveness. It's not even on his board. Some royal watchers think this entire encounter was less about reconciliation and more about a test. A test for both men. Could Harry sit through a private conversation without it showing up in a tell-all later? Could he prove the moment was sacred, not another headline? And from Harry's perspective, was Charles truly reaching out as a father, or was this just about optics? The cameras didn't catch what was said inside, but they captured everything outside. Every entrance. Every exit, every second of silence between them. In the days leading up to that moment, every frame was dissected. Harry's face as he arrived, serious, unreadable. Charles's presence, calm, but distant. No smiles, no waves. Just duty stitched tightly to discomfort. Even if the meeting itself was stiff, the symbolism was undeniable. 4 years, whispers swirled that Charles had stopped taking Harry's calls, that messages went unanswered, that every attempt at reconciliation hit a wall. But this time, the door opened. That alone counts for something. Not everything, but something. Because at the end of the day, whether Harry deserved the meeting isn't the point. It happened. Which means, somewhere deep down, Charles still sees a thread worth holding, fragile, frayed, but not yet cut. Now the question isn't if they met. It's what comes next. Did those 30 minutes light a spark for something real? Or was it the final polite nod before both men retreat to their corners and brace for the next storm? The silence that followed is where the tension lives now. No palace statements. No carefully planted leaks. Not even a vague whisper from Harry's camp hinting at progress. And in a family where almost everything is crafted for optics, that silence is deafening. Either they're treading carefully, or it simply didn't go well. But here's the truth, this meeting was never going to deliver resolution wrapped in a bow. It was about testing the waters, seeing if reconciliation was even possible. Harry's road back, if he even wants it, is messy. He hasn't just walked away from the institution, he's exposed it, challenged it, painted it in ways the palace may never forgive. And yet, he still shows up. Still seeks these moments. Which leaves the haunting question, does he want to come back, or is he just searching for closure? Meanwhile, Charles stands in a different battle. He's not only trying to hold together a monarchy already fraying at the edges, he's doing it while confronting his own health, his own mortality. Cancer has forced him to slow down, to hand off more responsibilities, to wrestle with what kind of legacy he'll leave. So maybe this wasn't the start of a new chapter at all. Maybe, just maybe, it was his way of closing one. Maybe it was a final courtesy, one last gesture from a father while he still can. Or maybe, just maybe, Charles is leaving the door cracked open, in case Harry chooses to step back through it the right way. One thing is certain, William isn't moving. Reports say he was only minutes away during the meeting, but he never came. Not even a phone call. For William, the wound cuts deeper. This isn't just about brotherly conflict, it's about the future of the crown. In his eyes, Harry didn't just leave the family. He abandoned duty, responsibility, and the unspoken loyalty that comes with the firm. And worse, he turned the fallout into profit. And yet, beneath all the bitterness, there's a thread of emotion running through it. Because beyond the titles, beyond the headlines, this is still a father and his two sons. Three men, each carrying his own grief, his own pride, his own version of how things should have been. The real question now is what Harry does next. Does he speak out? Leak details? If he does, the fragile trust from this meeting evaporates and it all becomes just another PR stunt. But if he stays silent, truly silent, it could mean something else. Growth. Restraint. A signal, small but powerful, that maybe there's still room for repair. The truth is, there are no winners here. Just a family, scarred by years of resentment, struggling to find footing with the entire world watching. Charles is fighting illness. William is guarding a legacy. And Harry is caught in the middle, no longer royal enough to be trusted, yet still too royal to be ignored. For now, it ends quietly. No pictures. No hugs. No carefully staged smiles. Just a Range Rover pulling away, leaving a nation to wonder what, if anything, was truly said behind those doors. Maybe it was a step forward. Maybe it was the end of the road. But in a family where conversations have turned into battles and silence has become a strategy, the fact that they sat down at all is rare. Whether this moment sparks healing, or just adds another chapter to the saga, only time will tell. Because make no mistake, this wasn't just about Harry and Charles. This was about the future of the monarchy itself, and whether it has space for reconciliation at all.